So my view and what I believe it wholeheartedly, and it is the trend of what I'm seeing across major supply chain, a number of our customers, it's collaboration. You can't do this alone, right? And if you're really focused only internally on your company, you'll optimize yourself. But I don't know that that's really supporting what your customers need from you from a sustainability standpoint. And you definitely need your suppliers in there. So I think the key thing that I would recommend is think beyond just your own operations. Think of your customers and engage your customers in how you could help them be more sustainable. And then also engage your suppliers to say, look, how can you deliver more sustainable content to me?
And so if I'm listening to you right now, how would I go about doing that? If I'm a supply chain executive, how would you recommend that I do that? What are the action steps I could take to do what you just said?
So, you definitely want to talk with your salespeople and your marketing people about trends that they're seeing in the customer set, right? And then what are the 2, 3, you don't need all of them. You need 2 or 3 leaders in sustainability on their side to give you some really direct feedback. If you did X, or if you could deliver to me in this kind of standpoint, and that's going to give them some outside, customer feedback on how they could be more sustainable. And then you also have to turn it around and say, what are my suppliers doing? Am I getting an excess amount of, cardboard boxes? Is there something we can do different in how my supplier is providing goods to me? To then I can eliminate that much amount of my waste. You can see a straight line through from what the customer is expecting, your operation, which then drives the supplier to understand what you need to ask of the suppliers.
All right. Well, Danielle, close us out. What's the one piece of advice you would give to the average supply chain executive?
So I'd say, whether you've got an existing infrastructure or you're planning a new one or changes, I'd say absolutely review that to ensure that it matches how you're going to meet the needs of your customer and what they need. That strategic fit, will it meet those commitments that you're going to make promises to? But also don't stop there with the review. Plan for the next 10 years to make incremental improvements. Even if it's a new build warehouse, even if it's an existing warehouse, keep those plans moving to add in sustainable processes, but also the necessary automation to support it.
That's an interesting point too. And DeAnn, I want to bring you back into this too, because we started with the history lesson. I was a history major in college. You brought up your specialty in college. Might as well bring mine up too. We've talked about some of these goals going into covenants already or being codified. How much more should we expect the goal to increase, over the next 10 or 15 years as you're trying to plan out? Because I imagine the goal today is going to be very different from the goal tomorrow. Is that a correct assumption to end on here?
Absolutely. And you know what? If you look at regulations, governmental regulations, they're only increasing, right? I sit in Georgia, and I noticed your coffee cup was from a California school, right?
Yeah.
You know what? If you're doing business in California, you are already seeing those regulations and the year-on-year increase on expectations for you. Other regions of the U.S., a little less, but it's coming, right? And for any company in the U.S. that really wants to do business on a global scale, not only is sustainability an efficiency factor for your operations, it also becomes a requirement of doing business with many companies.
Right. Just like it was for California, it is for California for a lot of manufacturers too. Like you have to plan for that. Like, let's just start planning for your international requirements and then eventually they'll come here. Well, thank you so much to both of you, DeAnn and Danielle. It was so insightful.